Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a mail haul? I made one the other day, uh, yesterday, that just refused to upload. It just didn't do it. And it kept inching along and then inching back in its upload progress. Eventually, I had to just abandon the whole thing. And as of the moment of this filming, uh, 94 of you have emailed or texted to let me know that you're not all that fond of that decision. I love it. So I'm making a video today. I'll try and make it a little shorter. Maybe that was the problem. Or it could be just we've got high humidity and rain. It could be that that's fooling around with the Wi-Fi. Who knows? But we'll start with this package here. Who knows what we'll find in this mail haul adventure together? What is this first one? Oh my, okay. This is by Chris Thomas, and it's due in September, and it's called Inheritors of the Earth, How Nature is Thriving in an Age of Extinction. And you know that has to be the publishing equivalent of clickbait, because this is an almost unprecedented age of extinction. So you know that the author must know that. So either this is flat out science denial, which I find hard to believe, or the author has some gimmick in mind. Let's see what he has in mind. Uh, it's accepted wisdom today that humans beings have irrevocably damaged the natural world. Throughout history, we've introduced species and infectious diseases to foreign shores, hunted slow-moving and slower reproducing mammals to extinction, and polluted previously pristine tracts of land. Now we are in the midst of the planet's sixth mass extinction event, for which we are the main culprit. Okay, I'm with you so far. The only thing that leaves out is that Homo sapiens also exterminated quite intentionally and thoroughly every other species of human. uh, Yet, as distinguished ecologist Chris Thomas argues, this gloomy narrative obscures a more hopeful truth. In Inheritors of the Earth, he tells the remarkable story of how nature is fighting back. He complicates the standard picture of today's ecological reality, revealing that we are actually witnessing the first stages of a new mass acceleration of ecological and evolutionary diversity. Urbanization and the mass cultivation of agriculture have created new places for enterprising animals and plants to live, and human modification of ecosystems has stimulated evolutionary change in virtually every population of living species. Most remarkably, he shows, our actions may well have raised the rate at which new species are formed to the highest level ever in the history of the planet. Okay. All right. Okay. Uh, well, of course, he didn't write the publicity material. That paragraph that I just read is flat wrong. It's simply wrong. Every point that it makes is wrong. But he didn't necessarily write this. They usually approve it. Uh, okay, all right. I'll have to read it and see. I guess if this comes out in September from Public Affairs Books, if this author is seriously trying to make a case that speciation is not only keeping pace with, but exceeding extermination, then this author is delusional, and that would be amazing. I mean, because medically speaking, delusional. This author would have to have pitched this around to agents, shown it to friends and family, maybe run it by an expert or two. Gone once it was accepted by an agent. That agent then had to bring this author to publishing houses, developmental meetings, all that. There's a huge amount of socialization that takes place before you get a book to market. And someone who is, you know, demonstrably tinfoil hat crazy, you'd like to think wouldn't get through that process. Someone who thinks the Earth is flat, you'd like to think they wouldn't get through that process unless that's where they were going. But Public Affairs Books has a fairly good track record, so it's a very odd beginning for this mail haul. I'll just have to figure out. I'll read the book, and I'll see what the author says. It I'm hoping that the book makes different points than that paragraph I just read, because stripping all of southwestern Africa of its indigenous wildlife and raising the forests and flattening the veldt in order to make farmland, that then needs an increased number of field mice or cattle feeding, parasite birds. The increased number of those cattle and birds and mice is not species diversification. It's hardscrabble, rock bottom, omnivorous scavengers filling places that were once. All right, I'll report back. Let's go on to the next book here, so that one book doesn't eat up the whole mail haul. Let's see. This is. Oh, all right. Okay. This is. Okay. This is. I requested this. This is. Brenda Maddox. This is Brenda Maddox reading the rocks. The subtitle is How Victorian Geologists Discovered the Secret of Life. And I'm hoping that this will include a large amount about a particular Victorian geologist who's a favorite of mine, Sir Charles Lyell. Let's see here. It was once commonly held belief that the Earth was 6,000 years old. Yes, it was once a commonly held belief. And according to every poll in the field, 35% of adult tax-paying Americans believe that now, that the Earth is 6,000 years old. When they have in their homes minerals, radioactive decay rates show that are much older than that in their own home. This is getting contentious, isn't it? I'm almost hoping for a made-up story. This belief stemmed from the calculations of Archbishop James Ussher, who methodically devised a time of creation based on the Bible's 6 days of creation theory. It's not a theory, it's mythology. The lifespan of Adam's descendants, but those lifespans aren't known. They're part of a mythology. And his knowledge of the Hebrew calendar, along with other biblical records. They aren't records, they're myths. There are no records in the Bible. They're myths. For centuries, this was regarded as fact until 1830 with the publication of Charles Lyell's Principles of Geology. Yay! Lyell not only countered the bishop's theory, but was one of the first to proclaim that rock strata were like ancient manuscript and could be read as history. Geology, from its start, challenged established religion. Okay. So this might be a lot about Lyell. That would be great. That would be fantastic. Okay. This is by Brenda Maddox, who has a degree in English literature from Harvard and studied at the London School of Economics. Her biographies of Elizabeth Taylor, D.H. Lawrence, Nora Joyce, W.B. Yeats, and Rosalind Franklin have been widely acclaimed. Did Brenda Maddox do another biography? Someone not listed there? Maybe I'm confusing her with someone else. But anyway, I'll so this comes out in November. Boy, all these autumn books when we're in the middle of summer here. All right, very good, fantastic. All right, so let's move on. Of course, there's a part of me that wishes. I'm sure this will be entertaining. There's a part of me that wishes instead that it were a 900-page biography of Charles Lyell. But I can't ask for the moon. You know what I'd also like that I don't have and that I'll have to find? Penguin Classics. My beloved Penguin Classics actually did a Penguin Classic of the Principles of Geology by Charles Lyell. And I had it once upon a time, probably 30 years ago. And I don't anymore, and I wish I did. Anyway, let's see what this next one is. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, well, this one's right up our alley here on BookTube. This is The Art of Reading by Jean Beaulac. Jean Beaulac? A pretty book. From Homer to Paul Celan. The Art of Reading is the first long overdue collection of essays by the French classical philologist and humanist to be published in English. As the scope of the collection demonstrates, Beaulac felt at home thinking in depth about two things that seem starkly different to most other thinkers. We see on the one hand the classics of Greek poetry and philosophy, including the relatively obscure but in his hands illuminating rereading of Greek philosophy by the doxographers. Then, on the other hand, there is modern, including contemporary poetry. The author of monumental commentaries on the Oedipus Tyrannus of Sophocles and on the fragments of Empedocles, Balak cultivates in himself and in a generation of students a way to read both sets of texts closely that is uncompromising and demanding of the interpreter as it is of the reader of the interpretation. Oh, well, okay, now I want this book in the original. This is will come out from Harvard University Press in February of 2017. That can't be right, can it? This February of 2017. Can that be right? Oh goodness gracious! It is. That is right. Okay, this is bitterly old. This is from February. Okay. All right. But it still sounds fascinating. I really want the original. Okay. This is. I will email the publicist and find out what's going on with this. It's the art of reading. Okay. All right. I'm getting some curveballs. I actually am kind of wishing that I could just vent about made-up stories. Here we go. All right. The king of made-up stories. This comes out in late September. This is Don't Let Go by Harlan Coben, who writes edge-of-your-seat action thrillers that are pretty much molecularly brainless. He writes, they're very effective thrillers that are possibly the stupidest books currently being written today. I don't believe that he has anything to do with it, or if he does, I don't believe that any of these books have ever been written sober, or have ever seen even a first draft. I believe these are dictated into print. They have to be. There's just they have plot holes the size of the London Ring. They're stupid, less than one-dimensional. Even calling the characters one-dimensional is an insult to the Z azimuth. They're just let's see what this one is. And keep in mind, I'm saying all of those things contribute to how much fun these books are to read. If you can wrap your head around that. While many of #1 New York Times bestselling author Harlan Coben's domestic thrillers are set in his native New Jersey, very few, if any, have been based on real-life legends. His latest standalone, otherwise known as a novel, a little sop to the YA crowd there, was inspired by an urban myth Coben grew up with in his hometown, one that he found out later was actually true. An idyllic suburb, his town was also home to a U.S. Army Nike missile control center with nuclear capabilities built during the Cold War. It's still there today, now redeveloped as an artist colony. The examples of contemporary art that I have seen in the last 30 years could only benefit from potentially lethal doses of radiation. Coben brilliantly weaves the history of this property. I guarantee you he doesn't do any weaving. Guarantee it. Hey, Mitch, what's that over there? 3 pages of exposition. Blopped onto the page. That is not weaving. Complete with barbed wire fences and official no trespassing signs, into a compelling mystery. Some years ago, teenagers Leo and Diana were found dead on the town's railroad tracks, sending shockwaves through their tight-knit community. Those who knew them best each feel responsible in some way, and for the next 15 years their lives are shaped by the different narrative of events leading up to that fateful night. Except none of them are right, and now the truth is about to come out. There are facts, and then there are narratives people tell themselves. One of Harlan Coben's great talents is illuminating these everyday truths of human nature through a lens of twisty, compulsively readable thriller. He doesn't do that. If he has great talents, they are not literary. He might make a great steak. I love the optimism of one of his great talents. What makes Don't Let Go thrilling is the lengths to which Coben's characters will go to preserve their version of what happened to Leo and Diana. What makes it powerful is that it is driven by emotions, grief, love, responsibility, things we can all relate to. Okay. All right. So this comes out in late September, uh, and the U.S. Army Nike Missile Control Center is the urban myth that we're told was the basis of this book. The plot, as we're told, has nothing to do with that. Maybe they will come together. Maybe there will be a connection. So this is Don't Let Go, and on the cover there's a man walking through a door in the letter O. I love it. And then this is our last one. Fairly heavy. Could be a finished copy or something. Oh, okay. All right. This is Scribner. This is the short stories of Ernest Hemingway, the Hemingway Library edition. Here he is, hard at work with a book face down on the table in front of him in a way that is totally staged. Never worked that way. And this is Crawling with Hemingways, if I remember correctly. It's got like a foreword and an introduction by. It has a personal foreword by Patrick Hemingway and an introduction by Sean Hemingway. And it is, let's see here, on July 18th, Ernest Hemingway's lifelong publisher Scribner will proudly present the 4th installment in its popular Hemingway Library series. Proudly and also cannily. They're his lifelong publisher and they want it to stay that way. They need to keep doing stuff with him or he will go into public domain. They need to keep working his copyright just to death because it's worth a mint. It can't keep up indefinitely. I'm sure there's stuff by Hemingway that's in the common domain already. I'm sure of that. But maybe I'm wrong. You Hemingway fans will know best. But Scribner they keep him in the bookstores. With a personal foreword by Patrick Hemingway, Ernest Hemingway's sole surviving son, and an introduction by Sean Hemingway, the writer's grandson, who prepared the collection. This book offers an illuminating window into the author's creative process, with a short story form for which he first received acclaim. Complete with facsimiles and illustrations of early drafts, notes, alternate titles, and false starts, this collection gathers 26 of Hemingway's most celebrated stories from 1916 to 1938, including The Snows of Kilimanjaro, The Killers, The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber. Also included are 2 rare Hemingway stories that are among his earliest work, first published when he was a 16-year-old. Okay, so we mentioned illustrations and drafts. What does this look like on the inside? Okay, it has illustrations. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my! Okay, so we have stories, but we also have drafts with lines running through the prose, with strikeouts on the page. Wow. Okay, so this is for the Hemingway completist. I mean, if you're reading along, that is going to kill the reading experience. If you're just reading for a story, that's going to kill the experience. It'll fascinate Hemingway obsessive Hemingway, big Hemingway fans will love that because they all already know the stories by heart. So wow, I mean, this is a pretty thing, but if you're in a bookstore, you see this and you think, oh, my Uncle Fred, this is just this sort of thing for him. It's a nice, pretty new edition of the short stories of Ernest Hemingway. I'll get it for him. If you don't look through it and see the strikeouts on every page, okay, well, it's fascinating anyway. I wonder how much, actually, what was the date on this? I wonder if this will get any kind of attention at all. Well, it came out in July. It's due any day. It's due in a week. So there might be pieces cooking up, Hemingway pieces cooking up. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a thing that book page editors love to do, which is to lump books together if they can get a writer to do it. And Mary Dearborn's biography of Hemingway is recent enough so that you would have seen the two of them together in galley form. There might be articles like that. A New York Review of Books piece I could easily picture, something like that. So we have the short stories of Ernest Hemingway. We have Don't Let Go by Harlan Coben. We have The Art of Reading, bit of a mystery. I'll have to find out why I got this and what's going on with it. Then Reading the Rocks, Victorian Geology. And then Inheritors of the Earth, about how life is finding a way to deal with the ongoing daily holocaust of human beings on Earth. So, there's lots of interest here, so I'm going to get to it right away. But I will see you soon. And here's hoping that this video behaves itself better in the upload process than the last one did. I don't want you people reading me the riot act on a daily basis. So let's see what happens. I'll sign off for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.